Jai Shri Ram, everyone. Now, I'm known for, thank you first of all, ET Tech, for inviting me at this HITEX event. And this particular event is on education. I would like to first put out some predictions because I'm known on social media for giving out predictions. So, don't get too shocked. What I believe is post 2030, there will hardly be any use of English language. It will be laughed upon if you speak in English. And this is particularly going to happen because we are moving towards a world where the Western currencies are going to completely lose their purchasing power. In the next 3 years, what I'm expecting is a lot of Western universities are going to file bankruptcies. And this is particularly going to happen because the entire economic model which was framed upon a single country reserve currency world, introducing job as an empowerment model, is as recent as the last 400 years. This cycle of last 400 years is coming to an end by 2030. What that goes to mean is, when you do not have a stronger Western currencies kind of a world, the operating language in the offices and businesses are going to change. What kind of languages are going to come? When you jump from a unipolar world to a multipolar world, you are going to have China plus 10 in manufacturing. You are going to have English language plus 10 in languages. You are going to have regional powers leading their spheres of influence of nations. You are going to see a complete shutdown of job as a model of empowerment. Now, when I say this, it has a direct hit on the USP of the education sector, which says we have done this much placements. Why this is going to be the case? Because 400 years back, when the Britishers came and docked at the Surat port, that was the richest port on this continent, they established the East India Company, and that was the starting point of pound as a single country reserve currency status. What we are witnessing in the world right now today is a reversal of a single country reserve currency world, which means that the job model which was promoted by killing the entrepreneurship of the family and communities is now going to reverse by empowering the family and communities back in the economic system. So you shouldn't be surprised if you see a lot of massive layoffs in the IT sector, banking sector, and the consulting sector in the next 3 years. And after those layoffs, the immediate question will be posed to the education sector as to why you are supposed to put the students into the 4 walls and test their memory for 3 hours. Which means we are going to a world back to a Sanatan economics model where the family and the community unit was empowered to an extent that they could produce a complete finished product or a service within the family member's circle or the community circle. So when Adam Smith came with his capitalism, he said that there are 15 families who are designing 15 different kinds of shirts and selling in the market. Adam Smith comes out of nowhere and says, let's remove 14 designs from the market. You 14 families become my employees. Give me your savings. I'll put up a factory. And now you become poor. So in this job model which was set along with the British classroom format, it was ensured that none of the students be good at anything. That was the motto of the British classroom format. They shouldn't be good at anything. Because if they are good at something, they are going to figure out a self-employment model. So it was ensured that the students were loaded with as many useless subjects and topics. And after 15 years, the product should come completely blank. Completely blank. He should not be able to do anything. That was the objective, because that's the only way pound and dollar could continue in the single country reserve currency status. Their bankrupt nation could be sponsored by exploiting 180 plus nations, the burden which we are sharing of their lifestyle. So when this cycle ends, this is going to be not just an education shocker for the countries of the world. This is going to be a lifestyle shocker for the countries of the world, because the lifestyle is formatted right now to help out that Western template of education which is imposed on all colonies of the world, which became an education format. So when the Britishers came up for this format of governance, the idea was that individuals need to be empowered to an extent where they do not require families and communities at all. So what happens is you get generations of people who are very good with IQ, they are excellent with IQ. They cannot make a single product on their own, end to end, certainly not. And their EQ is in minus, probably minus. So there's not a single school right now which teaches how you are going to be helpful to your parents, how you are going to be helpful to your children, and how you are going to be helpful to the community. What schools teach today is how you are going to be helpful to yourself. And not surprising, as soon as you move away towards a job model, and every third year you are thrown up in an unknown city, your neighbors change, your parents are replaced by banks, schools, insurance companies, and maids. You end up misbehaving with each other, and ultimately that results into what we call as divorces. Now what happens when you sharpen children only for serving themselves, and they have no clue what they are supposed to do for the family or the community, for that matter even the nation? Over a period of time, with this 400 years of cycle, what has happened is the number of people who want to become rich by doing nothing, just by investing into somebody else's business, that number has now crossed to a limit where there are no more people in this world who can actually produce some real product. That is the crisis which we are facing right now. So families which were fooled into this process, they took their family corpus, they asked for rights from their parents, brothers and sisters, destroyed the family corpus, came to urban cities, which now I call as the fiat dollar cities. They came to these urban cities, handed over the family savings to companies, and they themselves became jobbers. Now the problem is that this entire model, which was gamed on a single country reserve currency, one country printing the reserve currency for the entire world, that model itself is closing. So now what is going to happen is, the schools are going to be asked that there are no jobs. Why are you wasting 15, 20 years of human beings by plugging them into four walls while they have no clue of how the market functions outside? What is going to happen, you think, with that? There is going to be a sudden breakdown, especially when you realize that English language is not going to have any role in the future economics of this planet. So when we talk about a Viksit Bharat of 2047, we are talking about family and community unit entrepreneurship, where Adam Smith's capitalism does not accumulate 90% wealth of the nation with 5% people. So if you really want to bring back the wealth into people's hands, you have to empower families and communities to make end-to-end product or service on their own. So Adam Smith came with his capitalism saying, I'm going to give you benefit of division of labor and economies of scale. So one process will happen in this factory among unknown people. Second process will happen in second factory. And the job roles are designed in a way where when the employee joins the job, the same thing continues which has happened in the classroom. In the classroom, the kids are told, the elephant is told that, well, your marks are very less, you can't swim like a fish. And then the teacher concludes at the end of the year, flying like a bird, swimming like a fish, and telling the kid that he is good at nothing. And the kid is screaming, I am an elephant, how can I fly? But the teacher doesn't understand that. So, this entire model which is gamed at churning out completely blank and useless people after 20 years has to be changed. And this duty is of the gurus. And when I say there's a big difference between teachers and gurus. So if I am to take you to a Sanatan economics model, which is, by the way, the new model which I am talking about in terms of macroeconomics as well. If I am going to take you to a Sanatan economics model, the first 5% education starts in the mother's womb. The mothers don't know it, that's a separate thing. The first 5% education of the kid starts in the mother's womb. Right? The next 60% is the father and the community and the family member teaching the life skills. When I say life skills, why does the kid has to take driving classes as a separate activity after the school? This is something which is the guru's job, to teach them the life skills, the daily skills. Right? So unless and until you empower the students and make them capable for life skills, they are going to keep on searching for jobs which are not going to be there. And when they are not going to be there, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to justify the education format and the institution why it is supposed to charge so much fees. So what is going to happen? Those teachers and gurus who have real life market experiences and they can earn themselves in the market, only those teachers and gurus are going to be entertained after 2030. You have to show that you can earn first in the market before standing in front of the kids. And then only you can teach that particular domain. Right? This is the change we are looking towards. And especially when the Western currencies lose their purchasing power, what is going to happen is, you don't have any more foreign clients. The IT sector layoffs have already begun. There's no way they can recover because they were born with the fiat dollar. There's absolutely no way the IT sector can recover. What is going to happen? So the education institutions of today will have to think. They have to think what structural changes they need of the real estate that they are holding today. What best use you are going to make of it. Be it sports, be it military training, be it startups research, be it what the country requires in terms of strategic requirements. Will you be able to guide students on making those specific products which India needs? When the geopolitical heft is increasing from Saudi Arabia that side to Laos, Cambodia on the other side, that is the kind of national security responsibilities, geopolitical responsibilities the country is going to take. Are you empowered to teach the students in a way to shoulder those responsibilities with real research, with real innovation? This is the question the education sector needs to think on. They need to think on how important now the Russian language is going to be, how important now the Japanese language is going to be, how important now the Chinese language is going to be, when you realize that the Chinese have lost their birth rates, the Americans have lost the birth rates, the Europeans have lost their birth rates, the Russians have lost their birth rates, Japan has lost their birth rates, the Koreans have lost their birth rates. They are looking at India. We are the youngest working population today on the planet. This is the only country which can work, earn the money and spend it. Now it is upon us, if this generation, the coming generation is going to grab this opportunity and take those foreign markets with an enterprising focus. And when I say enterprising focus, actually the graduation ceremony should be something like this, that a team of 3-4 students have shown a business model and taken it at least to a break-even point. No profit, no loss. If that is proven, you give them a graduation degree. The second thing which the nation needs to do is start assessing your entrepreneurs at their location and give them a certificate. Why would you call someone illiterate when he or she is running a business, making profits and employing people? You have absolutely no right to call them illiterate. These are the policy changes which we require in the education sector. So first 5% education comes from the mother's womb. Remaining 60% comes from the father and the community members. 10% is what I call the Gurukul format of education that it should be. And remaining 25% is the direct deep dive in the market. You can't fit students into the 4 walls for 15 long years and keep them completely dumb about what they are going about. That cannot happen anymore, because you will be asked why you are doing so. You will be asked. So when we talk about an enterprising model, I'm more than sure with this currency reset which is upcoming, with the de-dollarization process that is going to happen, the Indian government will be able to churn out money to students who would really want to start up something, some business idea. You will also get loans at 2, 3, 4, 5%. So that students and kids can try their enterprising. The gurus need to mentor them. The business models always evolve. It takes 1 failure, 2 failure, 3 failure. You need to give environment of failing to the kids. And by the age of 20 to 23, they should be ready with a tried and tested business model, with a team built enough to generate profits on their own, so that they don't have to go out and search for a job. And this requires, when we talk about a closure of 400 years of cycle of a single country reserve currency, this will also require that not just that you give an environment of failing even at home, the parents should also be open to this idea that marks is not what measures the talent of the kid. There are so many kids who have come to believe that they actually do have some mental health issue. It is because the teachers are totaling all the subjects and putting a total in the mark sheet. We need to stop doing this. Right? You can't measure a kid to be an elephant and a fish and a tiger and everything, and then put up a total. After 4 or 5 years, he starts believing that he is good at nothing. And it so happens that you make him focus for 15, 20 years into things he does not know or he is not good at, and the rest 40 years, the HR fellow of some company is trying to search what he is good at. You look at the irony. So again, this is the job of the guru, to find out what the student is good at and show him the correct pathway to excel in that particular interest of his, rather than telling him that you are a mental health case. This is what the teachers are doing, by the way. He is perfectly normal if he is good at 2-3 subjects. Perfectly healthy. It is you who are at fault, that you are not able to identify and show him the correct pathway. He is not supposed to become everything. Right? So, this will require a big change. Otherwise, if you don't change, because when I'm standing here, I'm talking to the education institutions. If you don't change, the market will kick you. The market will kick you so hard. You will be asked that there is no placement with what you are teaching us. Because ultimately, if life skills are not being taught and the person is not going to make out his living after paying such hefty fees, what is the point? All right? So, as I say, with this, the model of education needs to change, and 2030 is going to be the deadline, I'm telling you. That is going to be the deadline. If you don't make correct usage of your extra real estate that you got, hire people who can train them with life skills, give them projects, give them business models, ask them to go into the market along with the teachers, learn. The kids should be able to learn when they enter the market. It should not be ke ice cream purchase karke aa gaye. No. If a kid is going to the market, the kid should be able to assess what is the cost of this ice cream, what is the cost of the raw material, what is the cost of electricity, what is the salary this guy is paying, this shopkeeper, when are the walk-ins happening in the weekend, what is the profit margin. This is life skills. This is what will take the kid to a higher level, rather than making him learn something cram and it's a kind of a feminization of a men process and masculinization of a women process. Please stop this, stop doing this in the classrooms. It doesn't work. It fails them further. Focus on enterprising. Indian women were the richest business tycoons on earth before invaders came in. We are giving more than 27% to the world GDP for 1800 years, without English language, without a reserve currency status, without destroying any other country. That is the country and the civilization we belong to, right? So Indian women were participating shoulder to shoulder in enterprising activity. It is only this Adam Smith capitalism which came and saying, remove 14 design from the markets, become my employees. 90% of wealth transferred to 5% people. And once you do this much exploitation of the society, obviously Karl Marx would be born. He will say, when you have done this much exploitation, give me for free. I want free water, I want free electricity, I want freebies. When you allow this much exploitation of the society, obviously Karl Marx would be born. And you will be hearing politicians saying, I'll give free electricity, I'll deposit this much money. Obviously, those who are hardworking, they don't like this, especially the taxpayers. But you allowed the job model to become empowerment, which was, by the way, in ancient Bharat, the worst activity to do in terms of your brain level, the job. Okay? There is no queen, okay? There is no queen who works 9 to 7. ऐसा कोई queen नहीं होता है. Okay? So, remove from this colonization of your mind and decolonize kids Okay? This is a country where, I mean, if you look at the entire content which is taught, I don't know why the kids are dancing Rain, Rain, Go Away. I have no clue. Because this is a country which celebrates rain. So the colonization of mind begins from the very beginning. It's utter nonsense. Okay, he's doing Baba Black Sheep. Have you any wool? This is not a winter country at all. Some parts maybe. So there's a lot of colonization of minds that has happened, particularly because the families and the communities are broken. The grandparents are not living with the kids, which are, by the way, the direct root of emotional quotient passing on to the kids. The parents are not equipped to pass on emotional quotient. It directly comes from the grandparents to the kids. So all these blockages where you are driving and grooming people to live alone, and in the West, it has resulted in a position where they are not able to engage with humans anymore. They are replacing human family members with dogs and cats. It has become a mental health issue because of this classroom format. The classroom format is not teaching how you are going to be helpful to your parents, how you are going to be helpful to your kids, the next generation. So it's only the Sanatan Dharma which says that you got life cycles, right, of a reserve currency status, which is why they are able to entertain this kind of breaking of families, where they tell parents, throw out your kids, because we are going to take care of your Medicare and all these expenses. Their reserve currency status is going by the end of this decade. So they won't be taking care of their parents anymore, relying on which they threw out the kids outside their houses. So the entire model is collapsing. The entire Western template is collapsing. We have to go back to our roots. We have to go back to our roots. The state is not going to take care of your parents or your kids. You need to have savings, because Sanatan Dharma says you have life cycles. 2 generations तो दिख रहा है आगे का और पीछे का. You don't know what you will be born in the next one, but at least you can see 2 generation life cycle, you can clearly see. So that's the minimum responsibility you got. It is religions which is saying you have only one life. So they are enjoying and spending all the money, which is why they have lost all their birth rates. By the way, they have lost their birth rates with the same nonsense of one life, consumption. Right? So when we come back to a dharmic economic model, it means empowerment of your family and empowerment of your community, which is a savings lifestyle and not a spending lifestyle. Okay? So if you are going to tell me that I am going to give birth to a child only after I have done foreign tours, I need to replace my phones, every 3 months I need to buy a new phone, every 6 months I need to buy a new laptop. Basically you are replacing the possibility of another child with some nonsense gadgets and expenditure. This comes from one life concept, foreign concept. It's not a dharmic concept. And this is a duty of the gurus to teach this. Right? How much time? It's over? Time is up. All right. So if I keep on talking, it will continue. But I've been just trying to give you a hint of the prediction about what is coming in the education sector, because the entire real estate will go to waste if you don't put it for a right usage. Thank you. Jai Hind.